"What do you mean we're out of oat milk again?" The customer's voice cracked with frustration, her tone sharp enough to cut through the mellow hum of the espresso machine. "This is the third time this week." Behind the counter, Jared Grant kept his head down, focused on wiping the sticky residue from the drip tray. Dressed in a faded green apron and a name tag that read simply J, he looked every bit the part of a new, tired barista. But that wasn't the truth. He wasn't here to take orders or refill milk cartons. He was here undercover, the owner of this 12-store coffee chain, embedded in his own company like a ghost, trying to uncover why this one location, despite being in a premium, high-traffic neighborhood, was quietly hemorrhaging money. 6 years ago, he had acquired the chain from an elderly couple who built it from the ground up. With grit, passion, and a loyal clientele, it had been a thriving legacy, something Jared took pride in expanding and modernizing. Most of his shops ran like clockwork, but this location, it had always been different. It was the anomaly, and until 3 days ago, Jared had never even set foot inside it. He came in wearing a hoodie a size too big, his beard trimmed tight, brown contact lenses disguising his usual sea-glass eyes, and his dark hair dyed a muted chestnut. His posture slouched slightly, hiding his otherwise lean build, the confident carriage of someone used to boardrooms, not mop buckets. Nobody suspected who he really was. To the team, he was just another exhausted ex-warehouse guy trying to pivot into coffee. The staff barely noticed him. Most baristas came and went so frequently, faces blurred into each other. Corporate rarely intervened unless it was time for a full audit, and those visits were all spreadsheets and silence. Jared's goal wasn't just to watch, it was to feel the heartbeat of this place, and from what he'd seen in just 72 hours, that heartbeat was weak. "Jay," barked the store manager. Vic, a bulky man with half-buttoned shirts and a permanent scowl, without looking up from his phone. "Clean the bathroom before you clock out." "I just cleaned it 20 minutes ago," Jared said softly, his voice even. Vic shot him a look that made it clear resistance wasn't welcome. "Then it'll be easier this time, won't it?" Jared forced a nod. This was how things worked here. Intimidation over communication. Hierarchy over humanity. Vic was barely present unless a district manager dropped by, which, based on chatter, was almost never. The rest of the time he hid in the back room or disappeared out front to smoke. His assistant manager, Dina, offered no relief. She floated through her shifts like royalty among peasants, helping only when customer complaints got too loud to ignore. And yet there were glimpses of hope. Kylie was one of them. Barely 19, she was a new hire, only a week ahead of Jared, but she worked like she had something to prove. Fast, kind, always one step ahead. Jared watched her carefully. She stayed late, covered shifts others bailed on, learned regulars' names, mopped, restocked, smiled even when she clearly wanted to cry. There was light in her, a soft determination that made Jared silently root for her. That night, Jared clocked in for the evening shift and found Kylie already there, hunched behind the register, her face pale and drawn. "Didn't you work the morning too?" he asked gently. She offered a tired smile, the kind that tried to hide too much. "Yeah." From the back, Dina called out without looking up. "You okay?" "I'm fine, just tired," Kylie replied quickly, brushing her hair behind one ear as if that could wipe away her exhaustion. But by the 4th hour of their shift, Jared noticed her hands tremble as she poured a latte. She dropped a cup, apologized, and kept moving. By hour 6, she was leaning against the counter between orders, eyes unfocused. Jared stepped in. "Go sit down," he said, voice low but firm. "I've got this." Before she could respond, Vic appeared like a shadow from the back. "She's fine," he barked. "And you don't tell people what to do. You're new, remember?" Kylie straightened instantly, jaw clenched, lips tight. Jared bit the inside of his cheek, fury simmering low. but he said nothing. As the store emptied for the night, he saw Kylie moving slower than before. She reached for a rag, missed the counter entirely, and then crumpled. Her knees buckled. Her head smacked the tile with a hollow thud. Kylie. Jared was at her side in a heartbeat, flipping her gently onto her side. Her breath was shallow, skin clammy. Panic clawed at his chest. Vic stood frozen. What the hell just happened? Jared glared up. Call an ambulance. Vic didn't move. His eyes. I said call, Jared shouted. Vic fumbled for his phone, his hands trembling. Jared ripped off his apron and cradled Kylie's head, whispering her name over and over. A customer, still lingering nearby, ran over to help. The paramedics came quickly, calm and efficient. They placed her on a stretcher, one of them asking questions. She's severely dehydrated, one said, probably exhausted. You said she worked both shifts? Yeah, Jared replied. No break all day. The paramedic sighed. She's lucky someone was watching. Jared didn't hesitate. He rode in the ambulance with her. He didn't care anymore if Vic grew suspicious. Right now, the only thing that mattered was that she was okay. At the hospital, they stabilized her fast. When she came to, blinking under the fluorescent lights, Jared was still by her side. You passed out, he said softly. But you're going to be okay. Kylie blinked, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't want to lose the job. I need it. Jared's heart sank, guilt thick and heavy. A nurse entered. Are you family? He paused, then nodded. Here, something like that. He stayed with her until her mother arrived, a tired woman in a grocery store uniform, worry etched into her face. She rushed to her daughter, and Jared quietly stepped back, suddenly feeling the full weight of what this job had taken from both of them. Thank you, Kylie's mother whispered, her voice thin with exhaustion. But who are you? Jared offered a faint smile, one that didn't quite reach his eyes. Just someone she works with. That night he lay awake in his hotel room, staring at the ceiling like it held answers. The sterile hum of the AC buzzed in his ears, but it couldn't drown out the weight in his chest. His hands still trembled, not from fear but fury. He had seen a lot in his time running this business. Late payrolls, leaky roofs, broken espresso machines at peak rush, but this? Watching a teenage girl collapse from exhaustion in the very shop that bore his name, that was different. It wasn't just bad management. It was a betrayal of everything he thought his company stood for. He wasn't going to just write a report. He was going to tear this place down to its bones and rebuild it with his own hands. At dawn, Jared walked into the store. No apron, no name tag, no more pretending. The opener glanced up in confusion as Jared bypassed the counter without a word and made straight for the office. He didn't knock. Vic sat there, feet up on the desk, half-empty energy drink in one hand, scrolling through his phone like a man who owned time. You're not supposed to, Vic started, but stopped as Jared closed the door behind him with quiet finality. Sit down. I am sitting. Then shut up and listen. Vic squinted. Who the hell are you? Jared pulled out his wallet, flipped it open, and dropped a leather ID case onto the desk. Vic leaned forward, the color drained from his face like spilled coffee on concrete. You're kidding. No, Jared said flatly. I'm the owner. And you're done here. There was a long silence as Vic tried to process the shift in power. Wait, hold on. You can't just fire me without... Get out. Vic opened his mouth again, but Jared didn't flinch. This is because that girl passed out? Vic scoffed. Come on, man. People fake stuff like that all the time. Jared stepped closer, his voice steel wrapped in ice. She didn't fake anything. You ignored a medical emergency, you skipped procedure. You let a 19-year-old work 14 hours straight without food, without water. You didn't force her? No, But you created a store where asking for help felt more dangerous than passing out on a tile floor. Vic looked like he wanted to argue, but the words died in his throat. You're off payroll. HR's already been notified. You'll get your final check in the mail. Security is on the way. As if on cue, Vic's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then gave a bitter little nod. Fine. You want the store? Enjoy it. And with that, he walked out, leaving behind an office, a mess, and a legacy of neglect. Jared stood in the silence that followed, staring at the flickering light on the security monitor. One camera showed Kylie's usual station, empty, as it should be. She was still in the hospital under observation, but the schedule hadn't been updated. Another thing Vic had ignored. Another piece of the broken puzzle. Out front, the morning rush had started. Jared stepped into the chaos, nodding to Ruben, the barista manning the register, quiet, steady, but clearly overwhelmed. "Where's Dina?" Jared asked. She said she's coming in late," Ruben replied, eyes not leaving the growing line. "Not anymore," Jared muttered. He stepped into the back hallway and dialed headquarters. Dina was locked out of the scheduling system within minutes. She'd already been warned once. This was her second strike. There wouldn't be a third. By noon, Jared had taken full control. He manned the floor, pulled shots, cleaned trays, and refilled beans between orders. He didn't announce who he was. He didn't need to. What mattered was the work, and the people watching. Customers noticed the difference. Drinks came out faster. Their names were remembered. Tables were wiped before anyone had to ask. The energy shifted. The store felt alive again. At 2:00, he pulled Ruben aside. "How long you been here?" "4 months. You like it?" Ruben hesitated. "I used to, before management stopped caring, before schedules got crazy. We never had supplies, and every time we spoke up," he shrugged. "Didn't change anything." Jared nodded slowly. "Would you take on more responsibility if the support was real?" Ruben blinked. "I mean, yeah, I think I would." "Good," Jared said. "You're the new shift lead. Starting now, I'll train you myself." You can do that?" "I can do a lot of things." For the next hour, Jared walked Ruben through the POS system, taught him how to manage shift schedules, request supplies, and handle time-off approvals. Ruben wasn't flashy, but he was sharp, steady, eager to learn. Halfway through, a delivery guy arrived with the wrong milk order. Again, Jared signed for it, but made a mental note to call the supplier directly. This kind of sloppiness wasn't going to slide under his watch anymore. Just after 4, the bell over the door jingled. A woman stepped inside, middle-aged, nervous, out of place in the crowd of college kids and tech workers. She clutched a tote bag and wore worry like a second skin. Jared recognized her instantly. "Kylie's mom," he said, stepping out from behind the bar. She gave a hesitant nod. "She told me you were here. Jay, right?" "Not exactly." He extended a hand. "Jared Grant." Her eyes widened. "Wait, you're—" "She's okay," he interrupted gently. "Awake, exhausted. They're keeping her overnight, but she'll be out tomorrow." She exhaled in relief. "I just came to get her check. She didn't want to ask. Felt embarrassed." "Don't worry about that," Jared said. "I've got something better." He led her to the office and handed her an envelope. Inside wasn't just a check for the hours Kylie worked. It was for a full month's pay, and stapled to it, a scholarship application for a local community college that Jared's company had quietly partnered with. "She's one of the strongest workers I've seen," he said softly. "She never should have had to push herself that far. That's on us, and it won't happen again." Tears welled in her eyes. She held the envelope like it was made of glass. She just wanted to do a good job. She did, Jared said, and when she's ready to come back, her hours will be flexible. She's on a leadership development track. We're restructuring. People like her, they are the future. He walked her to the door, where Ruben was still holding the fort, and a new barista someone HQ had flown in that morning was being trained. "Thank you," she whispered before leaving. After the door closed, Jared turned to Ruben. "Tomorrow we do a full reset, deep clean, inventory audit, training refresh. You in?" Ruben didn't hesitate. Hell yeah. By the time the lights dimmed and the door locked that night, the entire store felt different. Not just cleaner, not just quieter, different in its bones. There were no more sharp voices cutting through the air, no tension pulsing in the background, just honest work, sore arms, and a quiet sense that something broken was finally beginning to mend. Jared sat alone in the back office, surrounded by the faint buzz of the overhead lights and the ghost of what this store used to be. He opened his laptop and stared at the blank document for only a second before typing the title, Ground Level Lessons. His fingers moved with certainty. Systems don't fail, people do, and when leadership disappears, the cracks don't show, they swallow the good ones whole. He closed the laptop and leaned back. On the security monitor above, Kylie's station sat empty. But not for long. That emptiness was temporary. He would make sure of it. The next morning began with no managers, no assistants, just two people behind the counter, Jared and Ruben. A handwritten list taped to the cooler door mapped every task for the day, lettered neatly in Jared's script. There was a deliberate calm in the air, like a breath held right before a song starts. At 6 a.m. the regulars trickled in. A few raised eyebrows at the shift in rhythm. No music yet, no usual chatter. But their drinks came out faster, more accurate, hotter. It was different, but in the way that made people stay and notice. By 8, the energy ramped up. Maya, the new barista, arrived 5 minutes early, tall, focused, already adjusting her station. Her movements were smooth, economic. She didn't waste energy on nervous chatter. She just did the job. "How's the machine?" Jared asked as she tested the grind. "Clean, consistent," she said. Whoever reset it knew what they were doing. "Or to Ruben," Jared nodded. "Stick with him today. You'll see how we run it now." The first hiccup hit by mid-morning. Their delivery truck had missed the stop again. No lids, no backup cups, no oat milk. Jared didn't ask anyone else to fix it. He stepped outside and called logistics himself. "If this store gets skipped again," he said coldly, "I'll drive the truck myself, fix your routes, or fire your dispatcher." He walked back in and carried 3 chilled gallons of oat milk from his car, a supply he'd picked up from the wholesaler before sunrise. "You really do everything yourself, huh?" Ruben asked, watching him unload. "No," Jared said. "I just don't ask anyone to do what I won't." Lunch rush hit harder than they expected. With just the 3 of them, the register and both bar stations hummed at max capacity. Jared didn't mind pressure was a great revealer. Maya didn't crack. She moved like clockwork. By the second round, she already had several regulars' drinks memorized. At one point, a man in a tan blazer leaned against the counter, watching her. "You're new," he said. "I like the way you make my cappuccino. You single?" Without missing a beat, she replied, "I'm working." He chuckled, smug. "That's not a no." Before Jared's blood could even simmer, he stepped in. "She's working, that means stop." The man looked Jared up and down, condescending. "What are you, her dad?" "No," Jared replied evenly. "I own the shop." A beat, the man blinked. "Take your drink. And don't come back if you don't know how to speak to people." Silence. Then, reluctantly, The man took his cup and left. Maya didn't say anything for a while, just kept working. Then, finally, "Thanks." "You shouldn't have to thank anyone for that," Jared replied. She nodded once, and the moment moved on. By mid-afternoon, the rush faded. Jared handed Ruben a protein bar and a bottle of water without a word. Ruben sat on the back step, eyes closed, breathing slow. No small talk, just gratitude. Inside, Maya restocked while Jared ran inventory. Half their syrups were missing. Their backup beans were 2 days past optimal roast. Jared made notes, then more. His meeting with HR that evening would include a full proposal, new staff, new system, new standards. They didn't need placeholders. They needed people who gave a damn. At 4 p.m., a knock at the back door. Jared opened it. Kylie stood there, pale but steady. "You're not on the schedule," Jared said gently. "I know," she replied. "I just didn't want to stay home." "Your doctor clear you?" "I'm not here to work. I just wanted to see it the way it's supposed to be." He stepped aside. Maya nodded as Kylie entered. Ruben offered her a seat near the register without saying a word. Kylie sat slowly. "It's quiet," she said after a moment. "It's stable," Jared replied. "Still a long way to go." She watched as Maya silently passed a drink to a customer who smiled and thanked her. "She's good," Kylie murmured. "She is," Jared agreed. "So are you." Kylie stared down at her hands. "I really thought I could handle it." "You shouldn't have needed to," Jared said. She didn't reply, just rubbed the inside of her wrist. After a pause, Jared knelt beside her. "If you want to come back, you can, but not to the register. Not yet. You'll train with me, 1 week, just operations. I'll show you how everything works, the why behind the how." She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. At 5 p.m., Jared took a call from HR. No lawsuits from past management, no formal complaints, but exit interviews had been neglected. That would change. He made a note to build a post-departure feedback process across all stores. When he returned, Maya was tweaking the grinder settings. Ruben was explaining custom drinks to a customer, something only managers used to do. Kylie was sketching a new layout of the floor, her notepad resting on her lap. Jared grabbed a mop bucket and cleaned the back hallway himself. The shop would close in 2 hours. No more chaos today. Then the front door opened. A woman in corporate black stepped inside, badge clipped to a lanyard. "Alisa, District Oversight." "Didn't expect to find you here," she said. "I live here now," Jared replied. She glanced around. Cleaner. Calmer, still short-staffed. "I want temps by Monday," he said. "And I need a new manager, fresh training. I'll write it myself." "You're not handing this off." "Not anymore." She gave a slow nod. "All right. I'll get it moving." No handshake, just understanding. Then she left. At closing, Jared handed out pre-sealed time-off forms and pay stubs. He gave Maya her transfer paperwork, temporary, with a path to permanent. She took it without a word, just a long, unreadable look before slipping it into her bag. As the doors locked behind the final customer, Jared didn't retreat to the office. He grabbed a rag and wiped tables beside Ruben. Kylie stood at the far end of the bar, watching the lights dim. "Feels different," she said softly. "It is," Jared replied. "But it's not done." She looked at him, thoughtful. "Will it ever be?" "Not if we're doing it right." She didn't respond. She didn't need to. She picked up a rag and began wiping the pastry case. No one told her to. No one had to. They worked in silence. 3 people, 1 rhythm. No pretense, no performance, just tired hands and quiet momentum. Outside, a soft flurry of snow kissed the window panes. Inside, Jared posted a new schedule on the bulletin board: fresh rolls, fresh starts. It was early. The kind of early that made the lights feel too bright and the espresso machine hum louder than normal. No music yet, just the sound of a store slowly coming back to life. Kylie stepped in wearing a thicker coat, eyes scanning the space. She saw Ruben resetting the grinder. Jared noticed but said nothing. Not yet. He just watched. Watched how her hands no longer trembled. Watched how she walked behind the bar, picked up a dish towel, and began drying mugs without being asked. This was how you rebuild something worth keeping. Ruben had lined the photos up without being asked. No seeking approval, just action. That's what had changed. People weren't waiting for permission anymore. They were moving, choosing. When Jared stepped over, he handed Kylie a slim binder, neatly labeled and worn at the corners from use. "This is your training outline," he said. "I made adjustments based on what you brought up last night." She opened it carefully. "This covers store operations, product flow, inventory auditing. You'll shadow supply tracking for a week, then scheduling, then financials. By the end, you'll understand how this place really runs, not just the bar." She glanced up. "You're serious?" He nodded. "I don't hand out binders for fun." She gave a faint nod, a flicker of something calm and strong passing through her eyes, then tucked the binder under her arm like it already belonged to her. By 8 a.m., Maya had arrived. Early, again. Her quiet consistency had become its own form of leadership. Beans weighed, pastry case filled, syrups rotated. Jared handed her a clipboard. "You're running the open with Ruben tomorrow." She blinked. "Alone? Together?" "You've got the rhythm, he's got the systems. You two work clean." "What about coverage?" "I've got someone coming from Midtown. 5 years experience, clean record. If she fits, she stays." Maya didn't ask more, just took the list and went back to work. At 10 a.m. the Midtown Barista arrived. Shireen, early 30s, broad-shouldered, sharp-eyed. She moved with purpose and spoke with the kind of clarity that made small talk vanish on arrival. Before introducing her to the team, Jared pulled her aside. "I don't need a welcome speech," she said bluntly. "My last store got overrun by execs who couldn't tell a portafilter from a pump bottle. If this is different, I'll stay. If not, I'm gone by Friday." "No one's selling you anything," Jared replied evenly. "Just do the work." "That I can do." She stepped behind the counter, introduced herself with a nod, and immediately began. Within the first hour, she had memorized the top 5 drinks, corrected a calibration issue on the second grinder, and tightened the prep flow like she'd been there for months. Maya noticed, so did Ruben. For the first time in weeks, the store didn't feel like a house of cards. It felt anchored. But not everything was smooth. At noon, a man in a high XN coat swaggered through the door, Bluetooth in one ear, that fake kind of confidence that made Jared's shoulders instinctively tense. "I ordered ahead," he barked. "Large oat milk latte, no foam. Where is it?" Maya checked the system. "It's not showing up. Are you sure it was this location?" "Yes, I'm sure," he snapped. "I literally hit confirm 5 minutes ago. How hard is it to make a latte?" "It may have gone to the wrong location. I can remake it. It'll take 2 minutes." "It in 2 minutes? I want it now. This is ridiculous." Shireen stepped up. "She's offering to remake it. No charge. That's our policy." "Are you the manager?" he sneered. "I'm the senior barista today." "Then get me someone who matters." Jared stepped forward. "That would be me." The man turned, sizing him up. "I don't need a damage control speech. I need competent staff." "You're not entitled to belittle people because your drink isn't ready," Jared said, his tone even. "You can accept the remake, or you can leave. You think I care who you are?" "No, Jared said. "But I care who you are and how you treat people. We're not serving you today." The man let out a sharp laugh. "You just lost a customer. We're fine with that." He left, muttering into his Bluetooth. Maya returned to the bar. Shireen gave Jared a slight nod. "You always that direct?" "Only when someone forgets they're speaking to human beings." "Good," she said. That was all. Later that afternoon, Jared met with Alyssa from corporate in the office. She brought updated staffing numbers and a thick packet of revised training material. "You filled 4 of 6 openings," she said, "but you're still short certified trainers." "Building one," Jared replied. She raised an eyebrow. "You mean a person?" Right then Kylie walked in holding the binder. "I finished the first section," she said. "I have questions about the margin analysis." Alyssa turned to Jared. "She's going to be your trainer?" "She already is," he said. "She just doesn't know it yet." Alyssa didn't argue. She handed Jared the packet and left. Kylie sat and opened her notes. "I don't get this part. How labor cost targets shift with rotating leads." Jared pulled out a pen. "Let's break it down." They worked through it. For the first time, Kylie didn't just nod. She asked. She challenged. She connected the dots. Jared watched her posture shift from defense to curiosity, a spark growing into something sturdy. The next morning, she ran inventory solo. By the end of the week, she'd rewritten the closing checklist, corrected a 6-month-old syrup order error, and redesigned the shift handoff notes. On Friday, Jared called an all-hands meeting after close. The lights were low. The glow from the pastry case cast long shadows. They stood in a quiet semicircle, still in aprons, still tired but alert. "I told myself I'd stay 2 weeks," Jared began, "long enough to figure out what was broken." He looked around. Ruben, steady and loyal. Maya, focused and intuitive. Charine, tough but fair. Kylie, holding a clipboard like it had always belonged in her hands. "But that's not what this store needed," he continued. "It didn't need a report. It needed belief. That doing the right thing matters. That staying late, helping out, asking questions, that it all matters." He paused. "And this team has rebuilt something I thought we'd lost." He turned to Shireen and handed her a sealed envelope. "Your acting manager, permanent after 30 days if you want it." "No speeches," she said, "just a nod." "Maya, Ruben, you're both enrolled in the leadership development program. Paid, cross-trained." Their eyes widened, but they said nothing, just stood taller. "Kylie," Jared said finally, "you're now officially the store operations apprentice. You'll shadow me once a week. If you finish the cycle, you'll be certified to train new managers." Kylie looked down, then up. Not with shock, with readiness. "There's still a lot to fix," Jared said, "but not here, not anymore." No one clapped. There was no music swell, just the quiet weight of pride settling on shoulders that had earned it. Later, as the snow stopped and the last employee walked to their car, Jared stood outside, alone. The sidewalk shimmered. He didn't go back to the hotel. Instead, he walked down the block, turned the corner, and entered the next store on his list. The espresso machine hissed. The register beeped. Behind the counter, a bored barista didn't look up. Jared stepped into line, quietly, calmly, ready to begin again.